Hello, welcome to your gentle yoga practice for the legs and hips. For our practice today, we'll use a yoga strap. A belt from your closet would also suffice. And when you're ready, roll out your yoga mat and we'll get started on our backs. Let's have our straps handy. Although for right now, we'll just settle the body. So when we come down to the yoga mat on our backs, soles of the feet can step in close to the pelvis. And pressing into the feet, lift the hips and scooch them down so that we give a lot of space to the back, to the spine. See if you can soften your upper outer arm bones down to the floor so that your chest kind of rises towards the sky and you feel that where the chest meets the shoulder meets the armpit, that area is open on the front of the body. And then see too that from the pelvis all the way up the waist side to the armpits, that both side waists are evenly long. So what we're avoiding here is any sort of side bending that might be a natural inclination for some of us. Relaxing the muscles of the face, relaxing the breath. With the soles of the feet grounded on the floor right in front of the pelvis, seeing now also that the legs are extending straight so that the center of the thigh bone, which goes to the center of the knee joint, is also aligned with the hip bone down in the pelvis. So you have that nice long line, and then from the center of the knee joint now down the front of the shin bone to the ankle and through the second toe, we want those long lines of energy clear in the body. Now we want to see that our pelvis is nice and neutral here on the floor. So as we'll start with some little cat-cow motions in the pelvis, that'll feel like on the inhale, the rib cage will rise and we'll be tilting the pelvic bones on the front of the body more up to the sky. So it's like you're digging your sitting bones deeper down into the ground, creating a nice arc in the back of the body. So now most of the back body will be lifting. And as we do this, pausing and breathing, send the next inhale way down deep into the pelvis. That might rearrange your bones a little bit. It might rearrange how you're currently using the shape. And then on the next exhale breath, we're gonna take the opposite shape. We're gonna roll the low back into the floor. We're gonna scoop the tailbone towards the backs of the knees. You may even find that it's a little bitsy stretch on the front of the hips already. Okay, so we're gonna go back and forth like that, breath and movement. Have your hands wherever's most comfortable on your body or off to the side. Inhale, we'll take that back bending shape where the back arches away from the floor. And then exhale, back presses into the floor, tailbone rounds up. All of this created with the pelvis. Freeing up the low back vertebra, freeing up the space in the back of the pelvis, starting to warm up through the hips a little bit. And now we want to find exactly at center. Now, this is kind of hypothetical, right? Because it's like, how do I know when I'm exactly at center? That's not really something that's knowable, but we want to settle the pelvis in a neutral position so that the low back has a little bit of space between it and the ground. Maybe not visible, but certainly if you were to blow some air, it would just pass right through there. And then when we settle the pelvis right here at center, we're going to use the muscles that surround the pelvic joint, the pelvis joints, the hip joints, to secure this in place. And now we'll test this out by grabbing the strap, one side of the strap or your belt in each hand. And without changing the relationship of the pelvis to the legs, let's draw the right knee into the chest. Now at first here, if you want to just, abandon the strap and clasp onto your knee or behind your thigh, you can do that. But we definitely want to notice here, when you pull your leg in towards your body, does it start to kind of torque the right side of your pelvis more towards the right armpit? So sometimes in order to bring the knee in closer to the body, we kind of scrunch that side of the body in order to get it in. So that's okay if that happens, that's natural. But now we want to realign those bones and the joints so that everything gets nice and neutral. When you feel that it's about neutral, grab your strap again. Let's lasso it around the sole of the right foot. I'm going to take actually the heel into the strap because the heel is more in line with the bones of the foot. So then as I'm pulling down on it, I'll get that nice line of gravity. So let's take the leg. Let's play the edge of the leg straight towards the sky. Keep the arms straight here. And soften the arms down the strap so that the shoulders rest fully to the ground. And like we were doing just a few moments ago, the chest, shoulder, armpit region on the front of the body is open. Now, when we take the leg up to the sky, give a little bit more press to the heel, and then flex all of the toes down towards the face. This may not be immediately accessible for all of us, but what we also want to try to do is develop the hamstrings, develop the calf muscles here. And so in order to do that, we want to spread the ligaments through the back of the knee. So imagine you can even take one of your hands and you can grab onto the flesh behind the right thigh and gently kind of pet your right hamstring from the knee down to the hip. So that's the energetic flow of that muscle. The hamstring muscle flows from the knee down to the hip. And then that's lengthening those ligaments on the top side of that knee joint. Then at the same time, if you can reach your calf, maybe you can't, in which case you just kind of imagine this, but if you can reach it, you can help the calf muscle flow now more towards the ankle. And so that when that happens, it's opening the knee joint from the bottom side. As we breathe here, sensations will start to arise. And the purpose of sensations in our practice is to understand that there is a space inside which those sensations appear. And the space inside which those sensations appear is not identified with those sensations. It doesn't share the quality of those sensations. So maybe you start to feel that there's a lot of sensations now through your calf or through your hamstring or maybe even into the back a little bit, depending on where we're developing most right now. And so let those sensations kind of play out completely in that vast, open, empty space. It's the field of awareness of our experience that those sensations appear in. And you'll notice that when you offer those sensations to the space, it becomes easier to spread your attention evenly through your whole body. So now it's not as if the right leg is kind of the star player of the pose all of a sudden, but you can start to feel even the skull is involved as the leg, even the left foot and leg as involved as the right leg. Now I'm going to leave the sole of my left foot on the ground because it will help give me some anchoring. You're also welcome, if your leg is completely straight, your right leg is completely straight, to lengthen that left leg along the floor. And then we'll set up for the next version of the pose. So if we take the strap now, both sides just in the right hand, we use our left hand as a grounding force, either on our pelvis or just down to the side of our body here. I want us to keep awareness of that space that the sensations ride through and keep the attention there rather than with those sensations, because that's going to help keep us aligned. It's going to help keep our decision making in the right place here. Now we're going to start to roll that right leg open. So the toes are actually going to roll open more towards the right side of the mat, and then roll it back so the toes point towards the face. And now we're playing with external rotation opening, and then neutral rotation closing. And we're just introducing this work to the thigh bone because we're going to start to take that thigh over the right side of the body here. So here we go. We're going to externally rotate it. And from that external rotation, stay grounded with your whole body, including your pelvis. This is the hard part. I actually like to slide my hands down and now have my upper right arm as a kickstand. And we can start to take that right leg over the right side of the body. So we're opening it out from the middle of the body. Now all of the work on the back of the leg is still true. The calves float down towards the heels. The hamstrings float up towards the buttocks. And the buttocks kind of, right at the hamstring attachment where the hamstring and buttocks meet, those 2 points are kind of clasping together. So buttocks flow down to the hamstrings, hamstrings flow up to the buttocks. Right leg back up through center. Here we go, let's take the strap now just in the left hand. I'm gonna reach the right arm across, maybe even look over to the right. And from here, keep both buttocks on the ground, but we're gonna lean that right leg over the left side of the body just a couple of inches. And depending on how developed we are in the back of the leg, this is gonna trigger a nice sensation through that whole outer leg, possibly even IT band, into the deep outer hip muscles of the right leg. If you're feeling lots of juiciness, you can stay here. You can also choose to now start to roll the right hip off the ground. Take this more into a full twist. So you can let your left leg rest on the floor as you bring that right leg over the left side of the body. As this happens, breathe vertical length through your whole spine so that both side waists lengthen out of the pelvis evenly. Bring that right leg back up through center. Let's release the strap from it. Soft bend into the knee. And we can actually draw the left knee in to meet it. Hugging onto both knees, we can roll out a little bit on the spine. Time in between poses. Keep the attention spreading evenly through the whole body, and so you're accepting of each sensation. This is the process of developing a truly open body. You might even butterfly your knees in and out from each other. Can trigger a little sensation through the inner leg line. And then soles of the feet on the ground again. This time, let's take the soles of the feet together. Let's let the knees splay open away from each other, more in towards like a butterfly winged shape. And only go so far. I like to press my feet into each other because that will kind of limit how far the legs fall down to the ground, because I want activation here. I want my pelvis to remain neutral between the legs so that this becomes a true outer hip opener. In this bound angle pose, we can do those same cat-cow movements with the pelvis. So keeping the legs working nice and evenly on the next inhale breath, we're gonna arch the back away from the floor, take the sitting bones down to the floor, and breathe all the way down to the pelvis. That might rearrange how the bones are positioned. That's good. And then on the exhale, we're gonna press the low back into the floor, round the tailbone up just a little bit. And back and forth 2 more times. And again, finding that center pelvis, which is not verifiable really in any regard, except for that we'll feel clear, and we'll feel like we're able to pay attention to our whole body. Nothing will be grabbing for our attention. When something's grabbing for our attention, that's usually an indication that something should be adjusted. Maybe use your hands to guide your legs back together. Soles of the feet down on the ground. Let's arrange ourselves. Let's look at the spine again, from the pelvis to the armpits. You may even pick your pelvis up, kind of shake it a little bit, almost like you're in a baby bridge, and then stretch it forward down away from your shoulders so that now the spine gets nice and long. Sole of the right foot stays here. We can draw the left knee into the belly. We can hug onto it. And again, when the left leg comes in, we notice, did we side bend at all? Did we hike the left hip up, the left booty up towards the left armpit in order to make that movement more accessible? And it's fine if that answer is yes. The body's learning through repetition here. And so we've repeated a lot of bad habits, most likely, and we're learning new ones now. Let's grab onto the strap. Let's lasso it around the left foot. Can be at any part of the left foot, but again, I like doing the heel because the heel kind of stacks right over the rest of the bones in the leg. And so when you've lassoed your leg, you play the edge towards straight up to the sky, and we do this in nice incremental stages. So we first just let the body get used to what it's doing. Arms can be straight but relaxed, so the heads of the arm bones drop down and the chest is still exposed. We give a little bit more press to the heel, and that can help us take all 5 toes back to the face. We take them down evenly, so notice, are you taking more of the big toe side down to your face rather than the pinky toe? That will determine really how the foot is being worked, will determine how the rest of the leg works all the way down to the hip joint. So we want it all to be really evenly plugged in and long. And we can do the same thing if we take the strap just with one hand. I'm going to take it with the right hand. Take the left hand to the back of the hamstring if you can reach it. And using the hand, slide it up towards the back of the knee, right where the hamstring starts. And then lightly brush it all the way down to the hip, just a couple of times. And this will start to teach the hamstring its directional flow, so that when it's working, it's flowing down towards the buttocks. And if you can reach your calf, you can do the same thing from the knee up to the ankle. So now we're opening the ligaments on the backs of the knee. A lot of times we don't even fully straighten our legs all day. It may not even, those ligaments and those muscles on the back of the leg can be so shortened that it might not even be possible for us to straighten our leg right now. And so that's really what we're working with. You can even take your right hand and push your left thigh bone away from you, and at the same time, draw your left shin bones more towards your face. Now a little external rotation. So rolling right in the hip socket, rolling that left leg open so that the toes point out. Notice, did your right leg do anything? Mine did a little bit just there. And so this is a little, we're just go back and forth, rotate the leg in and then rotate the leg out. And we're seeing if we can get this movement accessible without the right leg having to do anything, with the right leg just staying nice and stable and steady on the ground as a support for us. Now, the next time you turn it out, you can take the left or the right hand now down to the floor, to the body to help ground. And we're going to keep more of the attention actually in the grounding body. Keep more attention in the part of the body that's supposed to remain still. And so keeping that calm and still and capable will begin to let the left leg go out to the left. You can feel sometimes my shoulders like to grab there. That right leg and hip is also trying to open, like it's like, I want to do it too. So we're trying to keep everything nice and neutral. This is teaching ourselves a true external hip rotation. True external hip rotation in that left leg. Remember the work that we were doing on the back of the leg. Hamstrings flow into the buttocks. Calves flow into the backs of the ankles. soft jaw. Let's bring that leg back up through center. Grab onto it now just with the right hand. And lengthen the left arm out. You can even look over to the left, and keeping both buttocks on the floor, we're gonna lean the left leg over the right side of the body just a couple of inches until it triggers a unique sensation through the back of the leg or through the outer leg into the outer hip. And if you want, you can stay here, or you can complete that twist. You're going to start by rolling that right leg onto the floor for support, and then the left leg comes all the way over. Vertical length into the spine, into the side body. Even work through that left foot. And here we go, upsy daisy, back through center. Let's release the strap. We can be done with that actually probably for the rest of our practice. Guiding our knees in through center into the belly. We can roll around just a little bit. Then let's see, hugging behind the backs of the legs. Maybe it'll feel nice to rock and roll the length of the spine a little bit. We'll use that as a transition to come up. So if that doesn't sound good to you, feel free to roll over to your side and come up that way. Otherwise, we can begin a little rock. And when it feels nice and ready for you, we can come on up. And let's actually take a downward facing dog. So plant the hands, step the feet back one at a time. If downward facing dog is no good for you, you can always lower down to the forearms for dolphin pose. And then slowly, let's walk our hands all the way back to our feet here. So now we're in a standing forward fold. All right, and for this one, let's actually take the feet hip width distance apart. Could be wider, in fact, for you if you like, if you're tighter in the backs of the legs. We just got a lot of feedback from our hamstrings. So if your legs were pretty straight there on the ground, let's get them straight here too. Let's open up through the backs of the knees. Let's take the calves down to the ankles. You can even do that physically here with your hands. And then the hamstrings up towards the buttocks. At the same time, buttocks down to the hamstrings. And this is progressive. It doesn't need to be straight right away. I oftentimes lift my toes, so it teaches the foot how to behave, how to get all of those arches really active. If you like and you're really well seasoned, once the arches are nice and active, you can lengthen the toes back down, but keeping the activation of the arches. And once the legs feel like they're in a pretty stable place, that's when you can start to feel the spine really tumble out of the pelvis like a waterfall. You can even clasp the opposite elbows here. And hands on the ground. If the ground is too far away from you, I invite you to put your hands up on some yoga blocks or even a chair or an ottoman. Perfectly appropriate options. From here, we're going to bend the knees until the thighs are about parallel with the ground. And then we're going to push into the feet and play the legs towards straight and fold again. So on the inhale, we're bending into both knees evenly. The heart reaches out, the skull can even look forward. And exhale, coming back to the fold.
Let's take that 2 more times. Inhale and exhale. One more. Okay, this time as we bend, we have a nice length in the spine, ground down through the hands, through the right foot. Can you pick the left foot up off the ground? Can you put it back down? Can you lift it up? Can you put it back down? Can you lift it up? And can you stretch it to the back of your yoga mat for a lunge? And so you're staying on the back toes, hands grounding down by the right foot. And on the next inhale breath, we're gonna slide that left knee down to the floor. It can touch if you want, but it doesn't need to. It can just hover. Inhale, heart up, look up. And then exhale, push down. We're gonna straighten that front and back leg and fold over. So it's kind of like a pyramid pose a little bit. And again, the hands can be on other support besides the floor, and that can make this whole sequence much more accessible if you're still developing these areas of the legs. So inhale, we're gonna bend into the front knee, bend into the back knee, look up with the heart and head, and exhale, press it back towards straight. One more time. And exhale back. Bend into the back leg now, look forward. Take the back foot underneath the body, forward fold. So that's how we get back forward. And relax. Okay, hands support us on the ground or on support. Bend into the knees. Heart forward, look forward. Can you pick the right foot up? Can you put it down? Can you pick it up? Can you put it down? Can you pick it up and stretch it all the way to the back of the mat? Staying on those toes. Next inhale, drop the right knee to a hover or to the ground. Heart up, look up. You can even sway forward and backward. Exhale, straighten the legs, fold over. Inhale, come down. Exhale back. Inhale down. Exhale back. And stay like this in the front leg. Look forward. Bend into the back knee. That gives it some power. Launch it under the body. Forward fold. Next inhale breath. Come out of the pose halfway. Hands on the hips. All the way up to stand. Let's lengthen the arms overhead so we give ourselves the opportunity to open through this upper body. And exhale, hands slide down in front of the heart. See if you can soften your eyes straight on the horizon in front of you and open your field of vision so that you're not taking in any one point of focus. Everything enters into your field of vision evenly. If you want, you can close your eyes. We'll be here together for another few moments of quiet in this standing meditation. Thanks so much for joining in today's practice. I hope you have a wonderful day.